They say into your early life romance came, and it 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 came.
Hey everybody, this is Caesar with Small Engine Velocity, and welcome back to another video. Today is the beginning of a series. Everyone probably know by now I'm gonna go ahead and do the 171 NCY upgrade. I'm gonna do the 61mm big valve head, OKO carb, A12 cam, and the 71cc cylinder and piston, and then tune it. What's cool about the NCY big bore kit is that you don't have to bore out the case. It fits on a stock case when you put it down. You don't have to use that little boring tool that cuts it out and all that good stuff. So this is as close to bolt-on as I can get. I haven't got all the parts yet, but I have got the 61mm big valve head. As I'm doing some test fitting for the intake manifold and the clocking flange, I noticed that there were some minor issues with airflow that I wanted to correct and fitment before I put it on the bike. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, here's the big valve head, and the reason it's called big valve head, 61mm for the GY6, is because which one is that? The intake? I believe it's the intake side. Yeah, the intake side is larger. This is the NCY. It doesn't come with the rocker arms, but you can transplant that from your old one. It doesn't come with the little EGR thing, just in case you have it. So it comes as a complete piece. This goes on top of the 171 that I have, or will have. There's the exhaust port on this side, and the intake on this side. Now, my problem with the intake is, if you look right here, it was hitting the actual head. It was very inconvenient, so I grinded down this. Yes, I'm not using the plastic piece in between here because the hole on the plastic piece is too small and I don't want to cut up a piece of plastic. So I grinded it down off the edge so that it's more beveled. Can't really tell. And then you look inside, and the hole on the intake is bigger than the motor. So I went ahead after I filed this down and bolted it up. And then I'm going to go ahead, I got a green marker, and I highlighted that edge on the inside so that I know what to grind down. Now, maybe that's not a big deal, but the way I've been taught is airflow is everything. So I'm just going to bevel that edge to make it a little bit more, or a little bit less turbulent as air comes in. So let's go ahead and unbolt this so I can show you what it looks like on the inside after I marked it with markers, so we can see how much we need to get rid of. Here's the intake manifold that I'm going to use. It's missing a gasket, so I need to find that, but it matches the hole here on here when it's going to go on this side, and it should level it out and angle it so that it's not facing the seat post on the seat. But this is a pretty good part, PFE coated. This end right here is beautiful for locking onto your carburetor. It holds it. It's got the notches on the inside so we can grab it, and it's going to go onto a OKO carb. So here's the 30mm OKO. I already got the throttle cable in. This is probably the most annoying part about a slide carb, is that this is attached and you can't disattach it. If you look, it's got the little notch here. That's really, really convenient for this particular intake manifold, because it'll grab onto here. And once you have it tightened down a certain strength, then you can turn it side to side however you want, and it won't let go. I'm also going to take a little bit of that polishing stuff, and I'm going to go ahead and polish the inside right here just to smoothen it out a little bit, and probably smoothen this edge around here. So I used to be a get guy, so these little tiny things gave you a little bit more power. I probably don't need to do that on a GY6, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. It's in the beginning phases, so I might as well go ahead and do all the things that I can do. What's interesting about this cool carb is once you have it locked onto this, then you can turn the carb pretty easily if you just loosen the screw up here a little bit. And if you look on the bottom, there's a 17 millimeter on the bottom. You can open it and you can access the main jet from right here. So you don't really ever have to take it off, because it would be annoying if you had to keep taking this off. To take the carb off, you would have to deal with the throttle cable. So you open the bottom, you can change the main jet easily. Now the slow jet, you can't. This is the adjustment for your throttle, for your idle, and this is your air fuel adjustment. So hopefully this will work out. So I guess the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and do the grinding for this to get it smooth and see what you think about it. Okay, so it has been at least about 3 hours later. I went and I started to go ahead and grind the head, and then I decided to also go ahead and polish the intake portion of the OKO 30mm carb. The advice I can give you is whenever you're grinding, make sure to grind a little at a time, because you can always grind more, but you can never ungrind something. So let's go ahead and take a look at the finished product. So I started with this conical grinding wheel to get most of the edge off, but if you look, a lot of the aluminum started to get absorbed in between the pieces of the grinder wheel, but this was good to initially start off with. And then I moved on to this. This worked better to kind of grind it down to where I wanted it to on the edge. A little bit rougher than I want, and you'll see why. It was a little bit too rough when you see the finished product, but it's very minute. Also used a little bit of a wire wheel to get around clean up the area after I was done. After I used this. So I used a polishing wheel right here, and this is what I used to finish it off. And then I used some polishing compound from here to get that finish. So here's the carburetor. It's not mirror finish, but it's definitely smoother than it was before on the inside for the intake. I was going to take down some of this edge, but I decided to leave it alone. It's not that sharp. Now here is the intake portion. It's kind of hard to see. I got it a little bit mirrory around the edges, but now the hole is bigger, and there you go. It's rounded. It fits the size of the intake now. You can still see some minute scratches that were a little bit deeper than the polishing wheel. That was from that sandpaper wheel. And then you can see some of the imperfections on the inside. There's a little lobe right there that I didn't have a piece that would work on that very well. But yeah, not too bad. Let's go ahead and put it on the intake and see what it looks like. So now you can see on the inside that there's no hard edge anymore, and it is a smoother edge instead of a hard edge here, so air can flow around it better. And that really was the whole goal, was to get rid of that edge on the inside. Just like in big cars and small cars, you want airflow to be as best as possible to get into the intake manifold of your car or bike or whatever it might be. So there you go. I mean, it's a small thing. A lot of effort went into it, But in the end, all these tiny little things, just like whenever I had a Get motor, will all turn into something as far as power or throttle response or mid-range or fuel efficiency or something like that. So I mean, I figured if I'm gonna go ahead and do this build, I might as well take my time and build it right so that it stays stable and, you know, it's just a good all-around experience and gives me as much power as I possibly can. But anyways, thanks for watching the first video of the 171 build series for my GY6 Ruckus. If you'd like to see more videos like this, go ahead and click that subscribe button. If you want to see and be if you want to be notified whenever those videos do come out, go ahead and click that bell and enable notifications. So stay tuned. The next part will be when I get all the other pieces together and starting to get organized for going ahead and doing the swap. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.